Thought about putting on a nicer top before I started filming this, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm having basically a snow day today, and I'm just going to apologize in advance if I'm a little bit more low energy than usual, just because that's where I'm at mentally right now. But I'm still super excited to be doing this ReWOTch series for season 1 of the Wheel of Time, so I wanted to take advantage of my free time today and watch the next episode with you guys. So today we're gonna watch episode 5, which is called Blood Calls Blood. I also might be a little bit more low energy in this episode because we're kind of taking a break from the overall main plot point this time to focus on some like Aes Sedai, White Tower plot and world building, for better or worse. But we saw the false dragon Loghain captured and cut off from the One Power, or gentled, last episode, so let's get into it and see what episode 5 has in store for us. We're opening back in these woods where the sisters were camped and the battle took place. Alana, the green Aja, who lost one of her green sisters. She's doing like some keening over the grave sites almost. I wonder if it's because they're green Aja that they're choosing to bury her in the earth and not return her body to the White Tower. I mean, they're burying all these other people. Including, we saw the King of Gil down there, so still honoring him as a ruler, I guess, or honoring the dead overall, maybe. Let me know what your thoughts are there, if he just got a special burial because of his status. I find it interesting that they're only returning her ring and not her body. So I don't know if this is just an overall Rand land custom that we're seeing here for funerals and burials being how they honor the dead. If it varies by region, maybe. If it even varies by Aja, depending on what Aja you're from. I'm not sure what we're seeing here. Poor boy, just looking absolutely devastated here because we've kind of gotten some build up in these last few episodes of trying to explain to us, the audience, of just how exactly the warder bond works and how deep and intense it is. It's not just a bond of loyalty or like an oath of fealty to protect your Aes Sedai at all costs. You're literally bonded together with the One Power, and it goes both ways, to where like you each will feel what the other is feeling, emotionally and perhaps physically as well. One month later. And we're still on the road to Tar Valon, so I think we're playing catch up with where some of the other Emmonsfielders are in terms of travel time and making their way closer and closer to Tar Valon. So here we're having a little bit of a time skip with Moraine and crew to show where their journey has been for this last month.
Do you still think of it as home? Don't you?
So it's taken them an entire month from where they were at last episode to, as we can see now, finally reach the outskirts of Tar Valon this episode. 1 month of travel time. So I like that we're getting that in terms of accuracy.
She talks to me. She eats every night.
Like it's not just fast travel. They did at least take the time to establish that this took them a month. And I think we can probably presume from where everyone split up at Shadar Lagoth that it's taken them all about a month, give or take, to also make their way here.
He'll deliver her ring to the tower.
I thought maybe that stone in the background was a portal stone, but it might just be a way stone in general. Oh, a way marker.
We'll find them.
I thought this was an interesting interpretation of the White Tower. It's not exactly how I always like pictured it in my mind. Is this like, you know, literal ivory tower, almost like the one in Neverending Story. Ooh, Matt cussing at the chillins now. I mean, I was just gonna say like it has been a month for them too. So I was curious to see how that month was going to affect Matt in particular with the dagger, and so we're already seeing here how it's affecting him. He went from last episode still being able to kind of pull himself together and pull himself back from that ledge and that darkness to be nice to the little girl, and here like some little kid accidentally bumped into him and he just immediately lashes out.
That mountain.
So he's not in good shape.
I don't know. I think I've seen it before.
Little Easter egg there for us book readers, because we know that is literally Dragon Mount, created by the last dragon, Luther Telamon, upon his death. Always one for being extra dramatic, this guy. I love this view here of Tar-Valon, city on an island in the middle of a river, with that looming ash mount in the background. And I think in history, the Aes Sedai deliberately chose to found their city here and build the tower here in the shadow of Dragon Mount, just kind of as a sign that like they were going to be the Watcher, you know, like the Watcher of the Seals, the Watcher of the Flame of Tar-Valon, and just be always watching and always vigilant to make sure that that breaking of the world caused by the dragon never happens again. So we're gonna see that ideal definitely come into conflict with the existence of the Dragon Reborn in this series.
Thank you.
All roads lead to Tar-Valon, so it's definitely a little bit of a cultural melting pot in terms of just having people from all different regions, lands, and cultures gathered here. So I love this little lively marketplace scene. We see like a man there almost wearing like a veil or like some jewelry there, almost like Alana and the people from her culture do with the bells of Arafel.
Yeah, we will. But first we need to rest and clean up. Think they'll let us in looking like this?
Ooh, and again, here, right before Matt and Rand walk into the inn, we hear that Pat and Fane whistle, and I think that was him we were seeing in the foreground walking away. So he's on it, man. He might have just, like, already been there waiting for them, but he immediately found them as soon as they showed up. But yeah, we can see Matt, in particular, is definitely not in good shape.
Tell me again.
Matt,
A little girl on the farm.
it wasn't you, Matt.
He's
Wasn't you,
still
Tom and I
really
both thought.
ruminating
Tom's not here.
on what happened back there with that family.
Tom's dead.
No, please believe me.
He's in his dark place.
It was the Fade. You know you didn't kill that family.
And I think,
Never heard
like
that.
I said last episode, I think it was the Fade. I think it was definitely sent there specifically to fuck with them and fuck with Matt in particular, because he's already like, we know from the books that like the dagger has literally taken over his mind to the extent that like he literally is blacking out and not like having these time gaps and memory gaps and not remembering what's happening on this trip. So he really doesn't know if he murdered those people or not. And I think the Dark is using that to their advantage to pull him deeper and deeper into that dark mentality
Eyes and ears watching every gate
and push him over the edge to the dark side.
If they've arrived, I'll know.
But will you tell me?
Then he's not
Maybe I'll have a
wrong
look
there.
around town myself.
Do not underestimate the women in this tower. Each of them has her own goal, her own agenda, her own pride and ambition.
Yep. And Moraine really driving the point there that I was making last episode.
Honing their strengths,
Every woman in this
mastering their
tower
weaknesses.
has their own agenda,
And when news spreads of your
and they
presence
don't
here,
talk
which
to
it
each
will,
other about what those
you can
agendas
expect it to
are.
become a novice immediately.
Between
And if you're
individual
not careful,
Ajas and
this
even
tower
between
politics
individual
will eat you
sisters.
alive.
If I'm as powerful as you say I am,
So
maybe
this
it's
place
you,
is
Aes Sedai,
not
who
the
should've
unified front
underestimated
that
me.
they're trying to present to the world.
It's all right to be afraid. You reached out and you touched the source. You saw how small you are in comparison to it. And how great you are in comparison to those you've always loved. And now you're wondering, how do you fit into the world? Can you ever go back to being who you were? I know.
I've
'cause I
always
felt
felt
it
very
too.
conflicted about Nynaeve as a character. When I read the series for the
answer is
first
no.
time, I really couldn't stand
You'll never
her
be the same.
because I was closer to the age
It's time
of
that
the
you
younger
saw
Emmons
for the
Fielders,
gift it
like
is.
18, 19, 20 when I
No.
first picked the books up.
Stay here. Do not speak to anyone.
And her
And I will
character
try and protect you
progression
as
just
best I can.
kept seeming to like be very halting because of her like stubborn mentality and because of how hard she had to work to get that role as the wisdom and earn respect in that role because of her young age. It takes her a really long time to let go of that role and that mentality of like, I'm the adult in the room here, I have to be the one in charge, I have to take care of these kids. So it takes a long time for her, especially like in a tower setting, to let go of that I'm the teacher and I'm the one in charge mentality and become this willing student like Egwene is so easily able to do when she gets there. And just with the way she was always treating the other Emmons Fielders like kids, she really came to grate on me at times. But the older I got, the more I really came to understand and respect Nynaeve, especially like with her being one of the strongest channelers of this age. But she was never really as much in the forefront of the novels as some of the other characters like Egwene and even Elaine in terms of plot focus. She was just always kind of there in the background, struggling with her own issues, especially once Egwene gets where she gets in the books. It leads to a lot of like internal conflict and external conflict with Nynaeve because she has to get out of that I'm the wisdom, I'm in charge, I'm running the show mentality. And I think her stubbornness does come from part of what Moiraine hinted at here of like having to cover up her fear and her unsurety with her place in the world and with everything going on around her. Like, she is not in control anymore, and that scares her. So she's going to cover up that fear by being even more stubborn and controlling. And that also is a big part of her mental block of like always needing to be in control that keeps her from being able to tap into the source, because in order for especially women to tap into the one power, they have to surrender and give up control, and that's literally impossible for her to do. Now that I talked through all of the commercial break, we're back with the Tinkers, and we see they have their big dogs to protect them.
It's a little hypocritical, you know.
What is?
Preaching non-violence and then letting your pet slaughter anything you come across.
Violence is in us all. The way the leaf isn't about denying that, it's about accepting it.
Maybe. But one more turnip curry and I'll be joining the dogs.
Turnip curry.
What are you two talking about?
You, obviously. Only good things.
I kind of love Aram's like almost
The White
garishly striped tinker coat here. He's kind of pulling it off.
You think they're there already?
Egwene kind of, I don't know, like maybe part of it is just warmth, but she's already wearing a really pretty warm coat. but still has like kind of embraced this tinker lifestyle. Like Perrin's still wearing his Two Rivers garb, but she's got the tinker poncho on over hers, and we see like she's very boisterous and a little bit like more mentally buoyant and emotionally buoyant after their time together. Countering the Whitecloaks once again. I gave them a lot of flack in my original review for this because I was like, there's no way the Whitecloaks would have the audacity to be this close to Tar Valon, right? But I think in The Shadow Rising we do get some hints that like they do in fact have the audacity, just with where the tower's at in terms of standing in the world and like slipping a little bit in respect, and the way like people have always viewed Aes Sedai with respect and a little bit of like healthy dose of fear mixed in. Now we see like it's tipping a little bit more toward the fear side, and people like the Whitecloaks especially are going to seize upon that. So we're really seeing the Tinker's non-violence in action here.
With the palm of a child's hand, but a leaf.
And also seeing that the Whitecloaks are maybe not so upstanding as they claim to be if they're willing to literally slap an innocent, pacifistic woman across the face.
They won't kill Tuatha. Come on, hurry. Come on, this way. There's a village nearby who've always been good to us.
Damn, bro just got clotheslined out of nowhere. Koreathon cycle. If you know, you know. Another little Easter egg there. That, of course, is the Book of Prophecy concerning the Dragon Reborn. And we get our introduction here to Loyal, the Ogier. I do have to give the show credit for making his character design and his effects makeup and just costume design better and better each season.
Get a little upset. I tell you, it was not for this I left the steading.
I love his relationship with Rand in the novels.
An ogre.
Ogier. Loyal, son of Arendt, son of Halan. And who are you?
Of course, innocent little Rand, the sheep herder from the backwater nowhere, doesn't know what an Ogier is, has never seen an Ogier in his life, and literally pulls a sword on our sweet baby angel, Loyal, thinking he's a Trolloc.
I'm not an Ioman.
Really? Red hair is one of the few physical traits that can help you work out
Some
where a
hints
human
at
is
here.
I'm from the Two Rivers.
Rand is not like the others.
An Ioman.
An Aielman from the Two Rivers who
Plot
is
is an
certainly
Aielman.
an Aielman.
And is
That is
very
very
adamant. Methinks this Rand doth protest too much. That he is just a humble boy from the Two Rivers, nothing more.
You know this book?
Yes.
Why would the travels of Jane Farstrider
Another little Easter egg name drop here for us book readers. Travels of Jane Farstrider is one of the few books that we get name dropped very frequently in the novels.
Thought she was Jane herself
And
Well,
hopefully,
that would be quite
if we get to
With all
see
the
book
humans,
plots
it's something she
progress
thought,
and we get to
you know,
see
I forget
all
how
of
frivolous you
the
humans
books
can be
adapted
with your thoughts.
into
Where is
this
she now,
show,
this girl?
it might be a little important
You age
Easter
so
egg for
quickly.
later.
I'm not sure. What's going on?
The Aes Sedai are returning from battle with the false dragon, parading him through the streets to show the people the dangers of madness and hunger for power. How far a man can
Sorry, I've got to go.
I see that Ogier are very
Just give me a
long-winded, very much like
I'll
the
see you
Ents of Lord of the Rings in terms of
Always in such a rush, these humans.
they're very long-lived, and so they have a very like
They're walking into
long, wider perspective on life. They're in much less of a rush to do anything. Was that Fane right in front of him? just someone that looked like him. And we know he is lurking around here. Yeah, there he is, right there, Lurky McLurkerson. So maybe the other guy was supposed to be a red herring. Yeah, he was right there. And interesting here that they didn't bring her body back, but they're parading her empty horse through the streets with her shoes facing backwards. So let me know if that's like a cultural thing from somewhere here that I'm not aware of that's pulling from, because we know Robert Jordan pulled from all different cultures and eras of like world history and world culture when building out the different cultures of Randland. So let me know if that's some like funeral observation or death ritual that I'm not aware of. But yeah, we see another red herring here with Logain and his madness, seeing the two Ammonser fielders, Matt and Rand, and laughing. And the camera's focusing on Matt because the red herring right now is that Matt might be channeling, and that's what's making him act all weird like this. So they're definitely trying to throw us off the scent here. But we do know from season 2 that it was in fact Rand that he was looking at and seeing the aura of another male channeler.
You won't let each other become like that. I'm serious. I don't give a shit about this prophecy nonsense.
And I know, like, Matt's just in his dark place right now when he's saying this.
You don't know that.
He kind of does know that. Matt's like, you don't know that, but I think in the back of my mind now, just like knowing that Rand knows that he's not like the others, because he did have that conversation with Tam before we left Emmons Field, that he might have been already suspecting this whole time that he's the dragon, especially after like him channeling to get them out of that Dark Friend's cellar. So he's like, no, it's not you. Trust me, Matt. It's not you. You're not gonna end up like that. Because it's me. I'm the one. It's a commercial break right now. This makes me really hard for myself to edit these going back, because I have so much to say that I keep talking through the commercial breaks, and then it makes it hard for me to figure out what I need to cut out. But okay, we're back. We see Steppen here. Steffen, I think his name's Steppen, the warder who has lost his Aes Sedai, donning funeral white, which is definitely a thing in Eastern culture. Here in Western culture, we usually associate black as being a funeral or mourning color, but in a lot of Eastern cultures, it's actually the color white. So we're seeing that being pulled in here.
I hated him, you know.
And there in the background there, we can see
After he
his
died,
Forsaken statues. I don't know if
I
we've
used to
gone
go
over
out
that
to
part
piss drunk
yet.
before I even got to the bar.
I think we get to that later in this
Fight the
episode,
smallest,
but
weakest
keep
guy
them in the
there.
back there. That's going to be important.
That's when I met Karine. Stupid young boy with a death wish, facing off against an Aes Sedai. She just laughed at me.
Here, how he met her,
And then bought me a drink.
which I think kind of mirrors
Somehow we became friends. Or rather, she gave me the honor of becoming her
Lan and Moraine's journey a little bit. Like, they were definitely butting heads at first.
And when she needed a warder, she was already so powerful that she
And
could
Lan
have
kind of
anyone she
dismissed her
wanted.
as this, like, short, very young-looking woman. Like, sorry, little girl,
She asked
I'm
for
not
me.
helping little girls
I
today.
couldn't believe it.
But he
I knew I
was
was
also
in
literally
place.
just a man with a death wish until he met her and teamed up with her.
I told her to reconsider, but she wouldn't. She just rolled her eyes at me, and that was that. We bonded. And I had to become worthy of her.
Yeah, cutting to land there, so I think he definitely #can relate.
My dad tried to kill me when I was 12. So, stop your whining. White Tower gave me the first real family I ever had.
You're right. It's good that you lads always have each other.
It's
Probably
good that
take more
you
waters
lads
if I learn
always
how to
have
help
each
her.
other. I wonder if, because like we kind of think he's just referring to like you lads as in the two of them because they're a pair. So they do always like kind of travel together and have each other.
Old friend.
But yeah, I think Lan knows that like
First you lose Moraine and then
by
tell me
saying
how
that
easy
he
it
was
is.
also kind of already mentally separating himself off from the herd, so to speak. Like, you lads are always gonna have each other, even if I'm not here anymore. Cause yeah, like this is not only just like mentally devastating in and of itself to like lose someone that you're that close to, but you're literally bonded with the one power. And it's almost like what I was talking about for like women channelers or male channelers when they get stilled or cut off. Suddenly that bond is just severed. You had this literal physical and emotional tie to this person that was magical as well as just being emotional and like having that bond with them. And it's just immediately like severed. So that's kind of like compounding the grief that you're already experiencing. I also find it interesting here that part of their ritual is to melt the Aes Sedai's ring back down. So they're really like not keeping anything of her. And maybe that speaks to the cyclical and reincarnation theme going on in the Wheel of Time of like everything and everyone will be reborn again. So there's no need to hang on to things like her body, it can be buried, and her ring can also be recycled and reborn anew because her spirit also will be. So yeah, maybe it's just this overall overarching view of everything gets recycled because everything is cyclical here. See here that they're both very in their feels, comforting each other, because I'm sure like the ball of emotions is just being bounced back and forth between them. She lost a sister, and he knows his fellow warder is emotionally devastated right now. Oh, I hate this scene. Oh, I hate this scene with Egwene so much. So violating. This is so emotional. This is so physically violating, being stripped bare and like scrubbed down by this gaggle of men.
Open your eyes, child.
That's like I'm so
That's better. All covered
like
up.
triggered, and I haven't even experienced anything personally like that. So I hate that scene. But again, just driving home how vile and reprehensible the Whitecloaks are, even though they they like say that, oh, we walk in the light, we're guided by the light, we're allied with the light, we're the good guys, but like this is what you're doing. So are you? I'd be like, come on, look at yourselves. Or, I'd be looking at what you were doing and be like, are we the bad guys? I think we're the bad guys. I think you're the bad guys.
We are not who you think. We're nothing. We're not.
We are all someone important under the light.
Hate you.
But you're right.
Hate you so much. Why is this bro just always
You're
like
not what
chowing
you were.
down in every
I
scene we
would've
see
tried to
him
tell her
in?
already.
So just nonchalant,
So I
just
would've
so
taken my hands away.
lackadaisical about interrogating and torturing people.
One of those witches once told me that you
Like
don't
he's just a
actually
literal
need your hands to
sociopath,
channel.
gives zero fucks.
That the use of the hands of any motions or words is just a crutch.
I can't channel.
There. We've proved it then. Because Aes Sedai certainly cannot lie, as much as they're able to twist the truth. So let's say you're not an Aes Sedai, and that this boy, Perrin, He's not your warder. The light must have brought you before me for a reason.
No, bro, now you're stretching.
The light
Now
never
you're
does anything without a
reaching.
purpose.
I assure you, sir.
Now you
Child
just
power.
want to be torturing people for the love of torturing people.
Child Valda. I'm just a girl from a mountain village who should have never left. Please, just let us go.
And I love how we're kind of seeing
But you can
Egwene
touch the
already
I know you can.
kind of
So stop me from
doing the 3 O's and manipulating truth. Because, like, she was traveling with Moraine, like, she is kind of established as a Taviran along with the boys
I
in
can't
the show.
You said yourself you're sworn
She's
to
like,
the
no,
light.
I'm just a girl
And a
who
man
should have
of the
never
light
left her
cannot kill a girl
village.
who's done
And that
nothing
is
wrong.
technically true.
And what makes you think that I'm a man who stays true to his oaths? That I won't just bleed you out right here and now?
See, that's why I'm like, you're not a child of the light, because you just straight up admitted that you're not someone that holds to your oaths. So what else are you doing if, as a white cloak, trying to say you walk in the light,
A wonderful
but then,
ring
and like you're so holier than thou, but then at the same time you fully admit that you're not a man of your word? Ugh, such hypocrites! You're such hypocrites, especially Valda. I know he's just such a fucking love to hate character, as I keep saying. They make him so easy to hate because he's just so evil. But God, is it working? God, I just hate him so much right now. But I think we are definitely establishing here some power building.
To struggle and fight for everything we have.
Some power grinding and leveling up here for the both of them, because yeah, this is gonna unleash Perrin's wolf powers, as we saw with the yellow eyes,
Walking like gods amongst men.
and it's going to force Egwene to not be able to rely on her hands as a crutch, as Valda said, for weaving and channeling. So she'll automatically be at an advantage compared to even other Aes Sedai, even other established sisters who can't do this, as we saw with
For me, girl.
the other Aes Sedai who fell prey to him
And let the boy go.
just from being tied up. So she'll have a little advantage on them, and just an advantage in situations like this, where tying her up will not prevent her from being able to channel her way out.
To discuss.
So I'm not sure why else we need to have this scene, because again, like you guys will have to remind me if that happened in the books or not. Because I know there is a scene where some of them get captured, and then there's the fight between like Perrin and the Whitecloaks, and the wolves join in, and then there's another scene where they're captured and the wolves come in and help them escape the camp.
If I could get a bit more of that tea you had for sleeping. I lie there, and just as I'm about to drift off, the pain goes away.
Good.
Yeah. That's the only thing I have left of her. The pain. I'm not ready to let go of it yet.
I feel like this is also foreshadowing Nynaeve's arc next season, when she goes through the archways for her accepted test and lives that whole life with Lan, where she has a family. So she kind of goes through the same thing and talks about feeling the same thing that he's feeling here, where the pain is all she has left of those memories, and so she almost doesn't want to let it go and just forget about it. Do have to say I really like the interior designs and set designs that they did for the tower. It's kind of pretty much spot on for how I always pictured it in my mind.
Escaped, did you?
Well, Leandrin back again. She has an interesting arc and relationship in the show with Nynaeve that we don't really get in the books, that I think is interesting, and I think goes a long way toward just doing some character building and character development for the both of them.
In death as they did in life.
Reds don't have orders.
No. Never.
Because you hate men.
I mean, kind of not wrong.
Is that a question or a statement?
It is kind of a well-known generalization.
Some
that
of my red sisters, perhaps.
a lot of the
Women hold the one power, but men still control much of this world. And they are rarely kind to little girls who show a spark of being greater than they are.
we're getting some hints there. Leandrin's backstory.
But now you've escaped Moraine's cage, you should enjoy your freedom. That way.
But Nynaeve's also not wrong that the Red Aja would naturally
Then onto the garden.
draw those with
The persimmon
already
through
a
season.
tendency toward not liking men. But also, like I said, it's just the view of the tower in general. You know, they built the tower there for a reason, to keep watch and make sure that another breaking and another dragon reborn would never come along and break the world again. So it is kind of an overall philosophy of the tower to maintain control and make sure that that never happens.
No, but why?
I went there and found the woman.
First I was like, what are the chances that Loyal just wandered into the tower and found Nynaeve
It was really very
and was able to bring her here so they could meet up? But again, even in the novels, a lot of things that might be like, oh, plot device, deus ex machina, can literally just be hand waved away as Taviran, just Taviran things.
So are you. Barely.
Things just have a way of working out for them, or they just have a way of making sure that the right people are in the right place at the right time. Or
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sleep, man. You need to rest.
I think he can channel.
Right, so I said earlier, like, oh, maybe Rand knows at this
No,
point that
he's
it's
losing
him and not
himself.
Matt, but he just confessed
arranged
to
that we should
Nynaeve
come to
that
her at the
he
White
thinks
Tower.
Matt can
I
channel.
don't know if we can trust her.
So I don't think at this
We saw
point
what the
Rand
Aes Sedai did
knows
to
what
the
he
False
did
Dragon.
back there in that little town.
You've done well. To bring him here. To take care of him. We don't need the Aes Sedai. We're Two Rivers folk. I'll heal what I can, and when Egwene and Perrin arrive, we'll sort out the rest. Together.
I haven't seen her in a month now.
She's alive. You know, when Egwene was little, barely 10, her parents brought her to us. The old wisdom and I. She had an infection already set into her muscles. They were cramping so badly that her legs were bent backwards on themselves. That's why they call it breakbone fever. Usually, before the person dies, they snap their own legs and arms in half. The old wisdom, she didn't know what to do. So she started making a tea to ease her passing. But I couldn't. So I took Egwene's hands, and she held on so tight. She looked at me and she said, "I'm not ready." She was so small. She just lay there the whole night while her own body tried to break itself in half. And she didn't cry. Not once. And she refused
Okay.
wisdom's tea.
So I wondered what the point of this conversation was, but I guess it's to establish that, like, Egwene is already a very resilient and strong person. She did
Sounds
not
about right.
break, literally, even when she was 11.
Egwene is
Originally, I think the point of that story was something that, like, Nynaeve talked about with maybe Moraine, where it was revealed that Nynaeve had possibly unconsciously channeled in order to help save Egwene. But there, I think the point was to foreshadow and establish that, like, nah, Egwene's gonna be able to get herself out of this. She's a strong, capable girl. It takes a lot to break her. She's got a very strong will, and that is why
If it
I
has to
stand
be
her.
one of us, it should be me.
No.
This is what I deserve. Layla, I killed her.
No. No, Layla's death was not your fault.
Yes, it was.
Oh, we're finally getting the confession, the reveal of Perrin.
The Trollocs. And I killed one. Then I heard another from behind me, and I swung with all my strength. But it was her. My own hands. My own axe.
My own axe. So right there, that's why he's gonna have a huge conflict with picking the axe back up again for some time. Axe in particular is gonna be triggering for him. But I'm glad he finally got that off his chest.
Have we reached a decision?
He's just like, nah, I got this. And like, this is really a test of mental fortitude, because this is a very like high stakes, adrenaline rush, danger, panic situation in which she's got to like keep herself cool, calm, and collected enough, and surrender enough to be able to channel. This just shows how, again, strong, smart, and capable Egwene is. But I kind of love that, like, we thought it was going to be all this build-up for her to do something. And, but no, like, she's still a novice. She has no idea what she's doing, even, like, she's very good. Love that little wolf howl as he breaks free. Little poor wolf. But it's Egwene who gets him with the knife. She does not hesitate. Okay, so we are getting a little bit of that here. Where I talked about, I think there's a similar scene again in the next book where he goes to free some people from the Whitecloaks with the help of the wolves. We're getting that here too. So yeah, Wolf Brother powers unlocked. Achievement unlocked. Like, run, my brother. We got this.
You heading to bed, sister? I'm surprised you remember where your chamber is. How long has it been? 2 years? And to return with such a prize. Where is Nynaeve?
So there she says it's been 2
Safely
years
hidden away, I
since Maureen's been in the tower, but I felt like she'd been gone for like pretty much more like 20. Like ever since she got sent on the hunt to find Rand.
You look a little worse for wear too.
Like, don't touch me, bitch. You're getting very up close and personal.
You know the trouble with always coming
Respect
and going,
your personal
Maureen,
bubble.
is that when Nynaeve becomes a novice, and
She's
despite
just
her
so like
distressing mistrust of Aes
creepily
Sedai,
familiar with people. But maybe that's also
be here.
like a power move thing, like a dominance thing.
A girl with her raw talent and lack of control would need mentoring.
And you think she'll choose red? The wisdom of the two rivers. After her first channeling healed the dying.
Our yellow sisters will be desperate to get their hands on her.
It's true.
She's a yellow.
But there's a certain
She's a yellow, man.
force of will she cannot hide. A sense that the
born
world could be
yellow.
better.
if everyone obeyed the rules. Her rules. One thing she doesn't share, though, is your contempt for men. So I suggest you look for converts elsewhere.
Not many people still make offerings.
Okay, here's
to ward
that
off the
scene I was
Forsaken.
talking about earlier that we were alluding to
This
with
belonged
his
to my mother.
statues.
The only thing
Offerings
left
to
in the house
ward
was
off
time.
the Forsaken.
And who are you trying to keep away?
Are they to ward off the Forsaken, or are you just making offerings to the Forsaken, bro?
I need to see clearly now. I need to see the truth.
We have maybe Grendel there with the curves. Someone behind her that's like shorter and stockier. So yeah, I think we're gonna get like one a season, pretty much, if we're getting 8 seasons. So yeah, I've got like Lanfear and Ishi in the middle. We know we're getting Ravine, so that might be Ravine behind Ishi there, in between him and Grendel. Cause yeah, I think that's Samael, and then Semiraj and Moghedien. And we know we're getting Lord Gabriel, which means we're getting Ravine. So we might still get Asmodean.
Enough of this. I'll stay with you tomorrow.
They might be like, oh no, we're getting Gabriel to make us think we're not getting Asmodean.
Do you think Stepan will accept your offer?
I don't know. When a warder loses his Aes Sedai, the pain is so deep.
But if I had to pick one other,
It's
it would be
almost like
Demandred.
Jesus swallowed her death.
One other important one that we would need, it would be Demandred.
I read once there's a way to release the bond.
Foreshadowing
Lan,
from Moraine
sister.
there.
Don't do that. Lan has nothing to worry about. You'll be here with us a long time yet.
Also foreshadowing.
What have you been doing out there all these years?
Now, unless you've made it a habit to use this as your dining room, I'm assuming you have a reason for coming.
I got word that the Amelin's returning from Camelin. She summoned us to the hall to answer for Logain.
Where's the Emerald?
She's out for blood.
That's what I want to
Looking
know.
for someone to blame.
Swan Sanchez many things. But she's never turned on a sister without cause.
Moraine, this place isn't what it was when you left. You're one of the only sisters strong enough to challenge her.
But I have no designs on the seat. I never have.
No one has any idea what you have designs on. Leandrin's strength is growing. More and more sisters are listening to her.
Building on what we got a little bit from Karene Sedai last episode,
All
where
I'm
like
saying
no one knows where Maureen's
someone who's
been or
rarely
what
in the
she's been up
tower.
to for the last
You
20
have two
years.
very powerful enemies.
And like all the Aes Sedai have their own agendas and like don't really talk a lot about their plans or machinations, but
Thank you for the warning.
even her fellow Blue sisters don't know what she's on about, so.
One day you'll have to trust someone with your secrets. Or they'll scour you from the inside out and leave
I
you
love Alana's outfit.
This is wrong.
Whoever did her costume design fucking slayed with her. And I also have to hand it to her actress because Alana was probably one of my least favorite characters in the books. But she's become one of my favorite standout characters in the show so far, just because of how she's how she's written, how she's acted, and her like character design and costume design. I'm just really loving everything about Alana in the show. So, gotta hand it to the show for that one and making me like someone that I previously really disliked.
Well, maybe when I'm bonded with Alana and feel her bond to Ivan and Maxim, but still, I don't know.
And if you're wondering why
Never been with a man.
2 men.
Certainly not 2 men. But hey, there's a first time for everything.
But you're assuming they want you.
What's not to want, huh? Tell me about the wisdom.
Nothing to tell.
Because you've never been a talker, but I have eyes. She touched the one power for the first time to save your life.
And barely spoken to me since.
She's stubborn. Knows her own mind.
I was gonna say there before they got engrossed in their heartfelt conversation.
Love's usually a bad idea.
If you're wondering like why he's alluding to
We allow it to happen.
hooking up with the Alana, Maxim, Ivan trio. In the novels, Alana, you know, we've seen in the show, like, she likes the Menzas, as Greens are stereotypically said to have a penchant for, in contrast to the Reds. Most Aes Sedai will only have one warder, except for the Greens, and it's partly because they're the battle Aja, so they need extra protection, because they're the ones that go out and fight. But, like I said, they stereotypically are said to have more of a penchant or liking for men than most Aes Sedai, and especially Reds. And Alana in particular is said to be not only just very sexual, especially when it comes to her warders, but she is typically the one who will kind of pick up stray warders who have lost their Aes Sedai and take them in and try to rehabilitate them, if you will, so that they don't sink into despair. She's got a habit for picking up strays, saving them the only way she knows how. So as we can see, we've definitely taken a little bit of a break from the forward momentum of the plot in order to do some hardcore world building and character development building here in this episode. We're getting some delving into tower politics, the Aes Sedai warder bond, the Lan-Nynaeve relationship, the Lan-Moraine dynamic, and even some hints at the Moraine-Swan dynamic. And at the Leandrin versus Moraine, Aes Sedai, like Aja versus Aja things. And then here, the repercussions of the warder bond when a warder loses his, literal purpose for being. But again, none of this happened in the novels. This is all purely made up for the show. So we are really, literally taking a break from the plot progression of Eye of the World here and taking a time out to have to do some hardcore plot exposition for the audience here. But Lan in particular in the novels is known for being the stone-faced warder. That's like his typical go-to description, is like being really stoic and unemotional and like not even showing a lot of emotion on his face or revealing much of himself. So we're definitely getting a big contrast to that version of Lan here, where he's being directed to be the literal outlet for everyone else's emotions that they might not be able to convey or express in this moment. He gets to, be volunteered as tribute. And kind of how I said with how Alana was like keening over the grave of the Aes Sedai in the beginning of the episode, I had read recently that that was also something that they would do in like Irish culture and like maybe in other cultures, is to nominate a specific person, or in some cases even like hire a specific person to come in and be the mourner and like be like really super emotional to be able to convey those feelings and do that. This moment also reminds me of the haka that you'll see from Aboriginal, I believe it's culture, where it's just this very like hyped up outward display of emotion to almost like an aggressive point. But with that, we conclude episode 5, Blood Calls Blood. So let me know what you think the title of that episode means. Blood Calls Blood. I want to say it's something that Ishii says in season 2 when he wakes up Lanfear. It could also be alluding to the warder feeling the calling to go join his Aes Sedai in death. Could maybe also allude to Perrin being awakened into his wolf power because of like it's in his blood and it was called forth when he was being bled out. So let me know what you think there, but we're to the halfway mark. Got 3 episodes to go for our season 1 rewatch. Let me know what you thought about that episode. I kind of have mixed feelings about it because like I get why we need exposition and like plot and character building, especially for people that don't know about these things from reading the books. But I do think it's a little bit too much of a step away from the book and like overall story progression. So I think I rated this one like somewhat in the middle to lower end of the scale when I did my very first like season 1 overall like recap review and rated the episodes and stuff. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode of the ReWOTch, and thanks for watching with me. I'll see you in the next one.